You think pain is the enemy, so you avoid it. You avoid difficult conversations. You avoid rejection. You avoid discomfort. You avoid silence. You avoid loneliness. You avoid the version of yourself that appears when life stops being easy. And every time you escape pain, you feel relief. But that relief is dangerous because relief can become a drug. The more you choose comfort, the less you can tolerate discomfort. The more you avoid pressure, the weaker you become under pressure. The more you run from pain, the more pain begins to control your life. Nietzsche understood this better than almost anyone. He did not see suffering as something we should worship. He did not say pain is always good. He did not romanticize destruction, but he knew this. A life designed only to avoid suffering will eventually produce a person too fragile to live. Because strength is not created in comfort. Strength is created through resistance. Modern life has one silent commandment: avoid discomfort at all costs. If you are bored, scroll. If you are lonely, distract yourself. If you are anxious, numb it. If you are sad, escape into entertainment. If someone challenges you, block them. If reality hurts, call it toxic. We live in a world that gives us infinite ways to avoid meeting ourselves. But the problem is not technology. The problem is not comfort itself. The problem is what happens to the human spirit when comfort becomes its highest value. A person who cannot be bored cannot think deeply. A person who cannot be alone cannot know themselves. A person who cannot be rejected cannot love honestly. A person who cannot suffer cannot become strong. This is the great paradox of modern life. The easier life becomes, the weaker we often become inside it. Not because ease is evil, but because ease, when it becomes constant, removes the friction that forms character. A muscle grows by meeting resistance. The mind grows the same way. The soul grows the same way. Remove every burden and you do not create freedom, you create fragility. Nietzsche wrote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." But this sentence is often misunderstood. Nietzsche was not saying that every wound is noble. He was not saying trauma is beautiful. He was not saying that suffering automatically makes people wise. Pain can destroy, pain can deform, pain can make a person bitter, afraid, and small. But Nietzsche's question was different. Can you transform suffering? Can you take what was meant to break you and use it to build a stronger form of yourself? This is the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy, not comfort, self-overcoming. To overcome yourself means to stop treating your current weakness as your final identity. It means saying, yes, I am afraid. Yes, I am wounded. Yes, I want to run, but I will not let this fear become my master. Nietzsche's strong person is not someone who never suffers. The strong person is someone who can suffer without immediately surrendering their power. Pain is not only physical. Sometimes pain is a message you do not want to answer, a truth you do not want to face, a decision you do not want to make, a conversation you keep delaying because you know it will change everything, so you avoid it. At first, avoidance feels intelligent. You avoid the gym, so you avoid effort. You avoid the apology, so you avoid shame. You avoid the risk, so you avoid failure. You avoid honesty, so you avoid conflict. But avoidance has a hidden cost. Every avoided discomfort returns as fear. The thing you avoid does not disappear. It grows in the imagination. The conversation becomes impossible. The risk becomes terrifying. The rejection becomes unbearable. The truth becomes monstrous. This is why avoidance makes you fragile. It teaches your nervous system one lesson. I survived because I escaped. And if escape becomes your strategy, then life itself becomes a threat. Nobody becomes fragile overnight. Fragility is trained. Every time you avoid what is difficult, you train yourself to need life to be easier. Every time you escape emotional discomfort, you lower your ability to contain it. Every time you choose numbness over awareness, you become less capable of meeting reality directly. This is why a person can look safe on the outside and still be collapsing inside. They have protected themselves from everything except their own weakness. They have avoided pain, but they have also avoided growth. Nietzsche would look at this and say, "You wanted comfort, but what you really created was dependency, because a person who needs life to be gentle has already given life too much power." Comfort is not evil. Rest is necessary. Safety is necessary. Peace is necessary. But comfort becomes dangerous when it stops being recovery and becomes avoidance. There is a difference between resting and hiding. There is a difference between healing and building your entire identity around being wounded. There is a difference between protecting yourself and refusing to grow. Many people today do not want healing. They want permanent insulation from life. They want a world where nothing offends them, nothing challenges them, nothing exposes them, nothing demands courage from them. But a life without challenge does not create peace. It creates a person who panics the moment challenge returns, and challenge always returns. Pain is not always a command to stop. Sometimes pain is information. The pain of envy may show you what you secretly desire. The pain of rejection may show you where you placed your worth. The pain of loneliness may show you that you abandoned yourself long before anyone else did. The pain of failure may show you the exact place where your discipline broke. If you run from pain too quickly, you never receive the message. You only receive the discomfort. And then you spend your life trying to silence the very thing that was trying to teach you. Nietzsche would not ask, "How do I remove all suffering from my life?" He would ask, "What can this suffering become in my hands?" That is the difference between weakness and strength. Weakness asks for anesthesia. Strength asks for transformation. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. That is a childish definition of freedom. Real freedom is the ability to do what must be done even when it hurts. The freedom to tell the truth, the freedom to walk away, the freedom to start again, the freedom to be rejected, the freedom to endure the pain of discipline. A person who cannot suffer is not free. They are controlled by whatever promises relief. They are controlled by pleasure, by approval, by distraction, by comfort, by fear. If you cannot tolerate the pain of being disliked, people will control you with approval. If you cannot tolerate the pain of boredom, distraction will control you. If you cannot tolerate the pain of failure, fear will control your ambitions. If you cannot tolerate the pain of loneliness, you will accept relationships that destroy your dignity. This is why pain tolerance is not just emotional strength, it is freedom. A pain-free life sounds beautiful. No rejection, no risk, no failure, no heartbreak, no pressure, no uncertainty. But remove all pain, and you also remove everything that gives life weight. No love without vulnerability, no confidence without risk, no strength without resistance, no wisdom without loss, no becoming without destruction. The person who avoids pain does not escape suffering. They simply choose a smaller, slower suffering, the suffering of never trying, the suffering of never becoming, the suffering of watching life happen from a safe distance. And one day, that person looks back and realizes they avoided pain, but they also avoided life. Nietzsche offers a dangerous idea, amor fati, love your fate, not tolerate it, not complain about it, not merely survive it, love it. This does not mean pretending pain is pleasant. It means refusing to divide your life into the parts that should have happened and the parts that should not have happened. It means saying, this too belongs to my becoming. The betrayal, the failure, the humiliation, the loneliness, the long season where nothing made sense, not because these things are good in themselves, but because a strong soul refuses to let even pain remain meaningless. This is Nietzsche's rebellion, not rebellion against pain, rebellion against being reduced by pain. But we must be careful. This is not a call to worship suffering. Some pain should be left. Some environments should be escaped. Some people should not be endured. Some wounds require help, rest, distance, and time. Strength is not staying in what destroys you. Strength is knowing the difference between pain that builds you and pain that breaks you. Discipline hurts, but it builds. Truth hurts, but it frees. Growth hurts, but it expands you. Abuse hurts, and it diminishes. Humiliation hurts, and it poisons. Staying where your spirit is being crushed is not strength. It is captivity. So do not misunderstand the message. Do not chase pain. But when meaningful pain appears, do not immediately run. So how do you become less fragile? You start small. You let yourself be bored for 10 minutes instead of reaching for your phone. You say the honest sentence instead of the comfortable lie. You go to the gym when your mind wants comfort. You sit with anxiety without instantly obeying it. You allow silence instead of filling every empty space with noise. You let people misunderstand you without rushing to repair your image. Every small act of voluntary discomfort teaches the body, I can survive this. And eventually, I can use this. That is how resilience is built, not through motivational quotes, not through pretending to be strong, but through repeated contact with the things you used to avoid. A weak person says, if it hurts, I must escape. A strong person says, if it hurts, I must ask what it means. A weak person wants a life without resistance. A strong person understands that resistance reveals form. A weak person treats pain as proof that something is wrong. A strong person understands that pain can also be proof that something is being born. You do not become stronger by feeling nothing. You become stronger by feeling fully and not being ruled by what you feel. That is the difference. So ask yourself, what pain am I avoiding? What conversation am I delaying? What truth am I refusing to admit? What discomfort has become the border of my life? Because the edge of your discomfort is often the edge of your current self. And if you never cross that edge, you never discover what you could become. You do not need a painless life. You need a life where pain is not your master. You need the courage to face what hurts without letting it define you. You need to stop asking life to become softer and start becoming harder to break. Because the more you run from pain, the more fragile you become. But the moment you turn toward it, study it, endure it, and transform it, pain stops being only a wound. It becomes a forge, and you become the thing being shaped inside the fire. A fragile person asks life to stop hurting them. A strong person learns how to turn pain into power.